Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Armin, and you're just in time to hear me talk about how much I hate Grace Blackthorne. So today I'm going to be doing my Chain of Gold book talk. This video will obviously have spoilers, so if you have not read Chain of Gold, I suggest you come back to this after you have. I just want to say right off the bat, I did really like Chain of Gold, and I know I praised it to the moon and back in my vlog, but I feel like it was a very transitory sort of love, and I've definitely felt like over the past week or so I've thought about it more, and I did not love it as much as I thought I'd originally loved it. It was a very good book, but I just didn't find myself connecting to the story or the characters as much as I've connected to some of Cassie's other work, particularly The Infernal Devices and The Dark Artifices. That stuff had me weeping. I was a mess after I finished reading those books, and it was not so easy for me to just immediately separate myself from those worlds right after I finished reading them. But with this, it was I finished the book, and then 10 minutes later I was like, okay, back to my life, I'm done. I've seen some other booktubers talk about this, and I think this might be why, but there were just so many characters in this book, and I'm not saying they weren't good characters. Each of them was incredibly complex, and I loved most of the characters, except for Grace, and they all could have been main characters. They were all incredibly complex, and I think that's part of the problem, because there were just so many characters with so many traits and stories that it was just really hard to keep track of them. Literally for the first half of the book, I was just flipping back and forth trying to figure out who was which character, and where the family tree is lined up and just what traits everybody had. It's not that she didn't put enough time into developing the characters, because they were very developed, but I think part of that just kind of took that away from me, because with the others there's always a central cast of characters that's manageable. There were 3 or 4 main characters in the Infernal Devices, and then there were 3 or 4 in the Dark Artifices. The side characters, they would get developed later on, but in this one it was all of them were just thrown at you at once. Also, it was a little bit confusing for me because some of the characters kind of shared traits with characters from previous generations, and they were not directly related to those characters. So Christopher was basically the new Henry, but he wasn't Henry's kid. And Matthew, I love Matthew, but he was the amount that Will claimed to have drank in the Infernal Devices is how much Matthew actually drinks in this book. And he's not Will's kid, but he drinks he's basically Will, but actually an alcoholic. And so it was a little bit confusing because the kids of the actual people were not just their mini-me's. It was a different character, but because these traits were shared, it was a little bit too much for me to hang on to, I guess. Also, for the entirety of this book, I was shipping James and Cordelia just because the principle of the thing, that's what you're supposed to do, you know, and Grace is this interloper. I'm always gonna root for Cordelia just because of the representation factor in that, and also Cordelia's just a great character. But also, this thing with Matthew that's going on, I don't know what I'm going for anymore, and just James as a character, he's cool, and he's a Herondale, but does that mean we should love him just unconditionally? Because he's kind of being a jerk with this whole Grace thing. I get that he doesn't have much control over it, but I still can't help but blame him for part of it. How could you be so dumb? And again, I don't know if I mentioned this in my vlog while I was reading it, but the last 100 pages or so just kind of flew by, and there was a disconnect. Belial's reveal and his motivation and just that whole thing was just kind of flying through, and none of it was really hitting me, and I just kind of read it and I was like, okay, cool, what next? None of it was plot twist reveal, huge mind-blowing revelation. I think it was supposed to be, but it just didn't get through to me. Obviously, Magnus is still the best. I love every scene with Magnus in it, and I will always love Magnus, but no complaints there. Moving on from these sort of critiques, I guess, I did really love the representation from Cordelia and Alistair and that whole family. I really loved that there was sort of a break in this very typically white European kind of thing that's always been going on in the Shadowhunter universe. I mean, aside from maybe some of the Downworlders or Magnus, you know, the main characters are always just white Europeans, which I love those characters too, but it's nice to see a break from that and finally see something you can actually relate to as a person of color. So I really liked Cordelia and Alistair in that sense. I also really enjoyed the part where Alistair kind of reclaims his heritage. He's kind of bleached his hair blonde, and he's finally accepting that part of him and dyes it black again at the end of the book, and that was kind of a really cool thing for me to read, just because I liked that he kind of tries to reclaim that, and he's not ashamed of it anymore. Obviously it's a process, it's not an overnight thing, like he doesn't just dye his hair black and all of a sudden I love my heritage, but like I think it's a starting point, and I think that he has a lot of growth to do as a character, obviously, with the reveals that happened at the end, but I think I have hope for him. I think he will redeem himself. It was also really cool to see Cordelia have Cortana the sword, because so far I'd only seen it with Emma, and if you've read The Dark Artifices then you know that Emma Carstairs also has Cortana in the future, and so that was really cool because like you already know this weapon, and then it's not making a reappearance, I guess, because this was said before, but it's kind of the backstory of the sword, I guess. And it's cool how it kind of chooses her over Alistair. It was like that little victory moment of her getting it, because I thought for a moment that Alistair was actually going to get it, even though I knew that she ends up with it. I was like, is he really just going to give it to him? But it's okay. It was also really kind of weird to see all the Infernal Devices characters as adults in this, because in the Infernal Devices, they're basically children, and also they're like age differences between Will and Cecily, and they act differently, and then in this they're just all adults all of a sudden, and it's kind of disconcerting. You know, in like Harry Potter at the very end, there's the epilogue where all of a sudden all of them are just adults, and they all have kids, and it's really weird because like you've gone from seeing them in one personality to just complete flip, like they're adults and all of a sudden they're like adults, you know? And it's really weird. Like Will retains some of his kind of joking personality, but at the same time it was like a little bit of, they've kind of lost elements of their personality, I guess. I don't know. Is that just growing up? And obviously I started the video with this and you're like, why haven't you talked about Grace yet? Grace is literally, I've heard some people saying that she might have a redemption arc, and I don't want to see it. Like, I'm already telling you, I don't want her to redeem herself. I want to hate her all the way through, and I want her to just leave. Like, I want her gone. I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't know what's gonna happen with the bracelet. I feel like she's defying Tatiana, like she's not going to be under her control, because she obviously took off the bracelet at one point, but like I don't think she's doing it because she cares for James. Like she might be, but like at the same time I think she's got her own things going on, and I know that she wants Jessie back, and I know she's got her own struggles, but like that doesn't excuse her behavior, and I just don't like I don't like her. I have not liked her. I didn't like her since the moment the book started. Like I know if you've watched my vlog, like the first scene that she was in, there was no reason for me to dislike her. I didn't even know who she was, but like I immediately read the scene and I was like, I don't like Grace. I don't know what it is, but I don't like her. And it sucks because I really love the Blackthorn family, like Julian Blackthorn, but Grace, oh my god. Jessie and Lucy, I don't know. I kind of shipped Matthew and Lucy, but like I'm kind of seeing the sibling thing now, so I'm not really gonna keep going with that, but like I don't know how I feel about Jessie and Lucy. Like it was really sweet of him to kind of give up his last breath. I don't know, I have higher hopes for him than Grace, for sure. He seems different than Grace, even though they're like both children of Tatiana, technically. Also the epilogue scene with Tatiana coming to Will and Tessa's wedding, like why was she there? Did she literally just come to ruin his day? Like did she just come up and whisper to him like, this is gonna be the happiest day of your life ever, like everything's gonna get worse after this? Like is that her only purpose, to arrive at this place with baby Jessie? Like I don't know, why did she even sit through that whole hour? Like it always bothers me when people who are so bitter just come, like they like do things just for the sake of ruining things for other people. It's like, if you don't care, if it bothers you, like just don't show up. Just don't, like if you're gonna hate on somebody, just don't say it. Like keep your mouth shut if you don't have anything nice to say. I don't know, I know it's just like for plot purposes, but I hate it. I hate Tatiana, I hate Grace. I'm not gonna put a counter on this video, but you can count for me. Let me know how many times I've said it. Let me know how much you hate Grace. I can't with her. I can't with that whole family. Like where did the where did the Blackthorn bloodline suddenly improve? Like where did Julian and Tabby and all the rest, like they're so but like I don't know where it improves. I don't know where this happens. Maybe it's Jessie. Maybe it's like the Jessie bloodline from he comes back from the dead and then has kids, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that was my rambly Chain of Gold book talk. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought down below, because I know there's some stuff in here that I said that most people might not agree with, and you might have loved the book. I mean, I did like it, and obviously I'm gonna read the rest because I love the Shadowhunter universe, so like, this isn't the end, but if you had other opinions, let me know, because I like hearing all of those different things. And obviously subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, because I will be posting. I'm doing the Owls Readathon, so I'm going to be posting weekly for that, as well as other book reviews and stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, then subscribe. Maybe I'll see you around.